Welcome.
Welcome to Switching Reels.
I was going to say that. Hi, Trent.
Hi, Connor. How are you?
I have been emotionally shook this week.
It's more than just the movie, I think.
No, mostly the movie.
Mostly the movie, yeah! Oh, I can't wait to talk about this one. What did we watch?
We watched The Boy and the Heron, which you had seen and I had not.
Yes, it's one of those rare few that I have seen ahead of you,
Yes.
which is just a great experience.
And I've just been informed we have a sponsor for this episode.
We
It's
do
Super
not.
Snail.
We don't. That'd be lovely, though. Can recommend the game. Can get paid for recommending the game.
But no, I did really enjoy this movie. I am in a weird place with it, partially because of something we talked about last week, where I feel like The Wind Rises was sort of the perfect ending point for Miyazaki's career. This one feels more final, but less like sort of that perfect calling card for what a Miyazaki film is.
I agree.
And so I'm a little bit torn on it. I did really enjoy this movie. If this had been his second to last movie, it probably wouldn't, like, the themes wouldn't have worked the same way. But I still think I would have preferred that.
Yes.
That said, this is going to probably bump down Spirited Away.
Whoa, it's higher than Spirited Away, everybody.
Yeah. Probably going to keep it under Totoro. No, it goes up just above Totoro. Still under Kiki's, though. So, yeah, I did really enjoy this film. Which is weird, because this is a movie that does a lot of things that I don't like stories to do. But it does it in a way that I enjoy thoroughly. And I can't really get into it until we get past the spoiler wall.
Awesome. Okay.
I guess I could, but I want to find out what your feelings are on this.
All right. Yeah, it is not as good. See, I have to wonder if it's better than Mononoke for me. And I don't think it is. So I have a lot more shuffling than you did. Porco Rosso is going down to SABC tier. And then Spirited Away is coming down to B tier. Nausicaa is now bottom of A tier. Nausicaa is better.
That's not Nausicaa. That's Princess Mononoke.
Princess Mononoke.
Okay.
Sorry, they're the same movie.
I think that both of us can agree that that is not true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Based upon the fact that, granted, this is purely for reasons of the way that I've dictated we're setting up the tiers.
Yep.
Nausicaa is in D tier. And Princess Mononoke is anywhere from S to A.
Yeah. I would agree, actually. And I do think Princess Mononoke is slightly better than The Boy and the Heron. Yeah. I'm trying to think of any spot where I'm like, it's for sure. And it's just an art. So.
Yeah. I will say, before we even give our ratings,
yeah,
I do think that this should be on the top 250 list. I think it is that good of a film. I still think it should have lost Best Animated Picture to Spider-Man, but
also agree with that. It's not better than Iron Giant.
Yeah, but there are other movies that we have kicked off of this that...
Yeah, but Iron Giant's still not on there.
Okay.
I don't think I can put this on top 250, unfortunately, for
No?
myself.
Okay.
No, it's not. It doesn't
Is
quite
it
hit
close,
the tier
though?
for me. We're gonna talk about it after the spoiler wall. No, it's not.
I mean, that's a binary. It's a
not,
yes or no question.
It's not really close.
No?
No.
Okay.
Not really.
I'm curious if that is if I am having some recency bias because of the fact that I've never seen this before and I did thoroughly enjoy it.
Exactly.
It's the only Miyazaki film that I hadn't seen that we went through, with the exception of Lupin the Third, which I felt had some major shortcomings.
I really like.
And this one feels like the opposite of that. So I'm curious if the first time you watched this, you would have rated it higher, or if okay.
I still had the same feeling about it when I watched it the first time. It was in January, so it's been half a year. But no, even coming out of the theater on the first time, I had very similar feelings, which we'll go and talk about shortly. I don't get the point, and if I don't get the point of what the movie is trying to express, it loses a lot of points in my soul.
That's fair. This is, again, one of those movies where I feel like I get most of it, and I don't necessarily get all of it, but I still enjoyed the journey.
Good.
Even if I didn't get all of it.
I'm so glad. This kind of feels
and
like...
those are so rare for me.
I got pieces of, like, Little Rock in my shoe while I was walking, and then had to keep walking. Through very pretty scenery. And, like, generally with
this
good
is
company.
A great hike, but you ended it with massive blisters.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to be uncomfortable for a while still after this hike.
Yeah.
And that's the vibe I've gotten both times. Oh, he's moving Howl's Moving Castle down to C tier in retribution.
No, it's more because I feel like this needs to be filled out a little bit more.
I don't think the Castle in the Sky is B tier, so I'm going to keep it where it is.
Okay. That's fair.
Could put it for C for Castle, though. Dang
C
it.
for Castle.
Yeah. That's almost worth it.
I don't know. I feel like these top tiers are just too heavily weighted, and I needed to move something. But
see if I did.
Oh that. Well, I guess it was just okay. That's actually retribution. Oh. There are only two S tier movies.
Yeah, this one might actually be more accurate. So what I just did, for everyone that can't see what I just did, or also those on the video, I just moved a bunch of stuff. But all the main things that mattered were I moved Castle in the Sky down to C. I moved The Boy and the Heron down to B for boy. I moved Ponyo from S to A, and then now all that's left in S is Howl's Moving Castle and The Wind Rises.
You know what? I'm going to self-impose that you are correct, and there should only be two S-tier movies.
Oh, no.
And that, unfortunately, will kick Ponyo out.
Oof.
That said, what we're left with are the movies that I have always said are my favorite.
And I am now very much like, and I have the ones that I have always said that now I will always say are my favorite. Whew.
Those are my S tier. So
there's a shake up here at the very end.
Yep. Princess Mononoke is highest in the S tier, followed by The Wind Rises. My A tier has Ponyo, Kiki's Delivery Service, and Boy and the Heron. Yeah, I'm actually kind of happy with this, I think.
Yeah, I was just looking at this again, and I'm like, no, I feel better with this arrangement, I think.
And I think part of it is because, especially the two top of A for me, which are Ponyo and Kiki's, they fight for that spot so hard that I don't necessarily feel right putting one in S and the other in A. I feel like they should be in the same tier.
Yeah.
They are both phenomenal, though.
Absolutely.
I mean, any of these are, but
Oh, we need to go. We should go and find some time to do an episode that's just a general analysis of Miyazaki, looking at all the pit movies and being like, okay, hey, this is where
Yeah.
these are where they are now that we've watched all of them.
Yeah, I'd be cool with that.
Good.
Yeah. Boy and the Heron. I'm gonna say this one. This one's weird for technical.
It is.
It's weird for both,
It's
actually,
weird for both.
because my technical. It's anywhere from like. I feel like it has one glaring problem, and it is the way that the movie is broken up.
Oh, interesting.
I think it is. It is so much of a thematically driven movie
Yeah, it is. Oh my
that
God.
the narrative itself is disjointed at places, and I feel like especially the change between the first 30 to 45 minutes and the rest of the movie,
The rest of the movie.
they feel like different films.
They're completely different movies.
And I will say, the first 30 to 45 minutes, however long that is, was my favorite part. I really liked what they were doing with themes in the second part, but
Mhm.
the first part just felt so perfect and serene. And I don't know, that entire section just made me like feel a sort of calm
Mhm.
and tranquility that I love in Miyazaki films.
Exactly.
There's a reason that, like, basically, once you get past Princess Mononoke, moving down my tier list, every single one of these
They're pretty cozy.
has a pretty heavy layer of blanket on it. The Wind Rises, it's emotional, but it's very tranquil.
Yeah.
Same with Ponyo, same with Kiki's, same with this for a good portion of it, and then it goes down to Totoro, which is that
The comfiest
through and through,
movie.
and then we're in Spirited Away, and everything after that it gets a little bit more,
Less comfy.
yeah. So yeah, clearly I lean this way with Miyazaki.
Yeah. Oh, I lean towards uniqueness and expression. Like Howl's Moving Castle is, to me, one of the most expressive movies and one of the most unique in the entire set.
I would make the argument that if that is the case, then this would be The Boy and the Heron would be in your S tier.
See, I would disagree because of the spoiler wall things that I have to say about this movie.
Okay, we may as well.
But first, we haven't actually done the ratings.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So what's your technical?
My technical is probably... I'm going to go with strong 8 to a light 9.
Nice.
Because the things that I have already mentioned bring it down, but then it's brought right back up again by the absolutely phenomenal visuals, soundtrack, and sound design.
As always.
This one, I feel like the soundtrack was stronger than any of his other films, as far as the way that it interacted with the film.
The world.
Yeah,
that's a really, really good point. It does have a very good soundtrack in that sense.
Yeah.
Where'd you put enjoyment?
You didn't have to ask me that.
Mhm. I'll even allow you to do enjoyment in the first third and the second 2/3.
No, I can't separate them. I can't. I don't know. This is a movie that does a lot of things that I don't like, but it does them in a way that I do like, and I'm just really, really torn. I'm gonna go strong 8.
Strong 8.
Yep.
All right.
Because I feel like I can't conscionably say that my enjoyment dropped below that. I also feel like it can't go any higher than that. So I'm just gonna
where the constraint is. We might actually be the same basically here. I think that my technical is a strong 8 and my enjoyment's also a strong 8.
Okay.
Pretty high again. Like these are not bad ratings because this is a good movie.
Yeah.
It's just,
and this is even within Miyazaki.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, completely.
I can't believe that you would give that high of a rating and say it doesn't go on the top 250 list though.
Again, we're gonna talk about it.
Okay.
The things are just such large nits, you know?
Yeah.
Like, let's walk up to this wall. I'm gonna start dragging my ladder from the marsh that I have it in to go over the wall. So, welcome everybody. This is Switching Rails.
Yes, it is. Wait, they didn't know?
I hope that they did know. I don't think we said it at the very beginning. So please send us comments, likes, comments, subscribes.
Our theme song says it for us now. We don't have to say.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually say it though. It just shows it. So the people.
Oh.
Oh
I
no.
It does say it.
Totally
Yeah.
does say it.
Yeah, we're good.
Whoops.
We're covered.
Thanks, Mr. Sandman. Again.
Yeah.
Fantastic sounds. So please let us know what you do and don't like. Want to know?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's it.
Unless you don't like Trenton, in which case I'm not okay with that.
Oh, same for Connor. Be nice.
No, you can rip Connor a new one. It's fine.
No, don't. He deserves love. All
Thanks,
right,
Trenton.
we're across the wall.
Okay, I need to hear.
Okay.
What's your technical issue?
So it's another one of the times that I feel like he tries to do too many things at once. Like there's a couple movies
like Howl's Moving Castle.
No, because that sticks to one, Connor. Like he tries multiple different settings. He has kind of an over-encompassing, or I think the theme, like you were saying, is the tie-in through all of it. His characterization is a little weaker than normal.
That's true.
Like I feel like the art style is also a little more mid than the other ones in some cases.
Okay.
Not all cases.
Okay.
The scenery isn't as detailed and the people aren't as like vivid, I feel like.
I disagree with you on the scenery, but I have a very specific reason why.
Perfect. Do it.
There are a number of points in this movie where he uses a different art style than he usually does.
Yes.
And so you can kind of see like, oh, in this area he was going for like in the opening scene, there's some stuff that is borderline photorealism.
See, I love that.
And then you have other stuff that's like when they first get to the house and there's like some abstract expressionism. Or impressionism. Yeah, expressionism is the other one. But there's some like impressionist painting background stuff, and that's really, really cool. And then you get into other places that look more sketched, and I feel like in some ways this is Miyazaki recognizing this is his last film and saying, okay, I want to do everything as far as art style goes.
Yeah.
I want to do everything with this film.
Absolutely.
And so I don't necessarily think that the art was mid. I think it was... I struggle to say inconsistent because the styles changed a lot, but it felt very cohesive.
Yeah.
Despite that.
That makes a lot of sense to me.
I will admit some of the character models needed some detail in certain shots. That's fair. But the settings I will argue to the grave and back for.
Yeah, no, you have some really, really good points on the settings there. Like again, remembering it is Miyazaki's last movie, we say again.
Yeah.
I know.
This time I think it is.
Probably pretty true. With it being his last movie, that makes a lot of sense. Like going and putting more into it, like does check out. It's just it didn't add to the story, though I understand it totally could add to the expression, which is also totally points on my side. Yeah, that makes sense.
But I think that kind of ties into what we were talking about of like this movie is theme driven.
Yeah.
So I think showing this movie to someone.
Don't show them first.
Well, yeah,
Please
yeah,
show them
absolutely
something
not.
easier. Show them My Neighbor Totoro first. Always.
No, Ponyo first.
My Neighbor Totoro first.
Trinity didn't love Miyazaki until she watched Kiki's. So
Kiki's first.
yeah, Kiki's is a good intro.
Yeah, Kiki's is actually a really good intro.
And as much as you don't care for it, Castle in the Sky has been an intro for several people that I know.
Yeah.
I
think it was just
my own influence.
Yeah.
And that has been a good introduction. I know some people who have started with Spirited Away, and if they don't start when they're children,
it's a rough sell. It's a tough sell.
That one's weird.
You can be my family and just start us with Howls.
Howls just feels wrong.
I love Howls so much.
I know that I'm incorrect about my opinion on Howls, but
it's all right.
I'm probably incorrect on my opinion on Boy and the Heron as well, because I do really, really love this movie.
Good.
But I think that what is important for this movie is that you understand what's going on outside of it to fully comprehend it. And I would have to say that that's probably points against it.
You have to have a large view on this one.
Like, you have to have been familiar with Miyazaki's work up to this point. You have to be familiar with the idea that this is going to be his last film.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to be familiar with the idea that he's saying it's his last film because he's getting too old
to make more.
And like, there's a memo from when he started this where he's talking about like, okay, I don't know if I'm going to survive the next 3 years to make this movie, let alone whether or not this movie will be relevant when I'm done making it, let alone whether or not I will just be able to push through it. I may get sick and this may just linger until everybody else has to pick up my slack for a half-baked film. And this movie ended up taking 7 years instead of the 3 that he planned it. And so I think like recognizing that this is something that from the beginning he knew would be a parting of ways.
Yeah.
It adds a lot to the movie emotionally and it adds a lot to it thematically, but I don't necessarily think that someone who doesn't know what he's going through doesn't, and I say that like I know what he's going through, but like who doesn't at least conceptualize
or resonate and try to relate good
right yeah with what this movie is to him isn't going to pick it up like this will not connect the same way with someone like that. I also don't think it'll connect if they don't have sort of the understanding of what Miyazaki films have been to this point.
Yeah.
That they've been a thing of beautiful expression and of peace, and I mean there's a lot going on with what all of this is, and the final sort of meeting with the great uncle, with the Tower Master, right? Like that's so impactful if you know where the Miyazaki legacy has been up to, or what the Miyazaki legacy has been up to this point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, I just kind of went on a rant
I
there,
love
but
it. No, that's fantastic.
Like, I don't know. The
It's the
idea,
vibes. You are like between the two of us, you are the stronger artist by a large margin. So I feel like this as an expression, as a homage to the entirety of the work makes a lot of sense to resonate with you on.
yeah. I mean, that's because I've put all of my skill points since I've been consciously able to do that into art. So
Exactly.
you put your skill points into various
All
things.
the different
I
things.
think you got more skill points if I'm honest.
I put skill points into obtaining skill points and did that early and then just kept going.
But yeah, so the themes around, like, there is a constant sort of motif around death as well, which is,
and life, but like to a lesser extent.
yeah, I mean, the stuff about life has more to do with um the renewal element of life, less than something that like someone's in the process of, right? Like we see a lot of the things like the I'm forgetting what they're called, but they're the tree spirits.
Yeah.
That are going up into the sky to be born, right? Like that's a renewal, that's a newness of life, but it's not like we take any of the characters that are in their younger stages and kind of explore them being them being young, or even them taking advantage of the life that they have. Totally. Right? Like that's not a theme that's touched on at all. But there is death everywhere, right? There are gravestones that are that make up the entire world. The entire world is made out of graves, essentially. There are spirits everywhere, but they're all dead. Like, I don't know. There's a lot going on here.
That's a really good point.
And a lot to unwrap. Like,
also the whole like I'm building this world with gravestones is crazy.
Yeah, and the idea that he wasn't able to pull out all of the malice from the gravestones. Sorry.
No, this is great.
But no, like this reminds me a lot of the story. I don't know if you know the story of Tales of Earthsea.
I've heard of Tales of Earthsea, but I haven't read it.
So it was made, the Studio Ghibli movie was Tales of Earthsea.
Oh, gotcha.
That one was made based on Ursula K. Le Guin's books. And the reason she wanted them adapted by Studio Ghibli was because she recognized, like, a major theme in Earthsea is that you can't just destroy the big evil and everything is good.
Yeah.
The basically inciting incident of the first book is a spirit of evil that has been drawn out of our protagonist. It's essentially his shadow that is then chasing him relentlessly around the world. And he doesn't, spoilers for Earthsea, Wizard of Earthsea, but honestly, like, it doesn't really change anything. Like, it just hammers home the point. But he doesn't ever turn and fight and kill the shadow. The way that he learns to beat it is by turning and facing it and recognizing that it's a part of himself.
It's very Freudian. Not Freudian. That's very Jungian.
Yeah.
Very Jungian.
So that sounds like a great sort of theme for Studio Ghibli, right?
Agreed.
Miyazaki handed it off to his son, and his son made Tales of Earthsea. He decided to make a big bad that you kill it and everything goes everything goes back
Dang.
to good. It's like, okay, that doesn't work
Mm-mm.
with this. So like that's what comes to mind to me when he talks about like, I wasn't able to make this entirely without malice. I think he looks back at some things and probably sees theming or characterization or certain things that he is not happy with.
Yeah.
And it's something that he would want to pass on to someone. But I think he also recognizes that it can't be Ghibli anymore.
Yeah.
There has been talk about zombie Ghibli, and it's the idea of if Studio Ghibli were to go on without Miyazaki, and pretty much everybody's on board with saying the studio is going to stick around. We're going to still do things, but we're not the same studio that we were before.
Yeah.
And that's kind of heartbreaking, but it is also something where like
Death and renewal.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, my goodness.
You got a lot of feelings on this one.
I
Tony.
do. I really do.
This is great. No, this is awesome. I love this a lot. I do love the like trying to pass on a mantle, like really hoping that a mantle can be passed on, and then at the last moment not being able to, like not having the right candidate, not having the time, not having the energy to pass that on, and allowing it to crumble, and allowing the person that was supposed to take on the mantle to go and create their own instance of life and their own like understanding and their own expression from what they've learned instead.
Yeah. Yeah. I really don't. I think I've said everything that I have to say, because I did have a lot of feelings about this. But the biggest, I guess the two other things, and we don't have the same language about this yet.
Yeah.
We'll get there. But this reminded me a lot of, in some ways, of 2001: A Space Odyssey, and a lot of David Lynch's work, which is curious considering the fact that I don't particularly like either of those.
Nice.
I respect both of them a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I think David Lynch is an absolute genius who has done incredible things for film and the sci-fi and fantasy genres as well. I think 2001: A Space Odyssey has basically established the language that we make space movies in now. I don't really enjoy either of them. I enjoyed this one a lot, while still getting a lot of
the same kind of vibes.
The same kind of vibes and the same kind of feelings that I get from those.
Yeah.
And I'm really still struggling with what to do with that. Which I will say, for the sake of any of our audience, I do like some David Lynch stuff. I liked a good portion of Twin Peaks, not all of it, but a good portion of it. I liked Eraserhead, but there was also a lot of it that just
not
didn't vibe with me. It's too weird, and there's not a lot that's too weird for me, but that's too weird. Rare. Yeah.
Fantastic. I'm looking forward to seeing more David Lynch stuff.
I think Eraserhead's on here. Nice. Elephant Man definitely is, but that doesn't really fit.
Nice.
Yeah. Those might be the only ones. He is weird enough that a lot of people don't like him, but yeah, he's also just a phenomenal artist. Yeah, I'll be honest, I think I've kind of said everything that I am feeling about this movie right now. I'm still processing.
Absolutely. When we do the last one, I think you'll have had a little more time to process.
Yeah.
Maybe watch it again.
I mean, you remember when we watched Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Oh
That
my
one was
gosh.
different. That one I walked out, I was like, I don't have the emotional capacity to talk about this.
It was fantastic.
Because I
shell shocked him.
I felt too many emotions in the space of an hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And I was
It
like,
was only an hour and 45 minutes. I feel like that movie's like 3 hours.
it might have been longer.
It's just
I don't know.
Time goes weird in that movie.
There were too many conflicting emotions on that one, and I was just like,
it's all gone. We don't know, man.
But no, with this one, like, I feel very pointed about my conflicting emotions. Like, I know where my emotions are conflicting. I just don't know what I feel in those spots.
Yeah.
But this movie is beautiful. I would say, like, if you've seen a good portion of Miyazaki and have liked it,
totally watch it.
It's definitely worth watching, if for no other reason than the visuals and sound are incredible.
Yeah, would highly recommend, though, keeping in mind a lot of the things that Connor talked about in the context of where this movie was written from, because I really do think that context adds a lot to it. Like, you get a lot more understanding. Like, our protagonist goes through a world that was created like with a purpose and desire for beauty, and that is now dying, and that has malice in it that was not intended.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Love it. Do we want to try and summarize this?
Oh. You can.
Okay, cool. I got this. All right. Mahito? Good. Mahito wakes up one night and his mom is burning to death. He tries to save her. He can't. So he and his dad go and live with I'm guessing his aunt, who his dad also marries. And during that time, Mahito goes and explores the island and area that they're in, finds a very cool old decrepit tower, walks into it, and enters a new weird magical land controlled by one master of the tower. And this tower spans all of space and time and reality, which is a very cool magic system, by the way, that we didn't get to talk about here in a second. We might. And so he goes in because he's trying to find his aunt, does eventually find his aunt, is not able to rescue her, and it through some other just very, very rapid course of events, the entire world dissolves, shattering the tower and everything that had happened inside of it. And then he moves back to Tokyo.
And he is able to save his aunt before the end of that.
He is able to save his aunt, which is great.
Also, there's a heron.
And there's a heron. He's the guide. Kind of a cool guy. Sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to talk about the magic system,
this was one of the softest magic systems I've ever seen.
Yes. And again, it was one of those ones where I go, I would hate this in most stories.
Yeah.
Almost every story.
Yeah, we didn't
in
even
this
touch
one,
on
it felt right to me. I don't know.
No, I totally agree. I just, like, it feels like at moments we're given things of solidity to try and grasp onto, and then they're very slippery, and I can't make anything from them anymore.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, here's a hint of a rule, but the rule does not exist. It is not there if you look for it harder.
Yeah.
It's just an idea.
Yeah. And I think that is actually something that I can appreciate about a soft magic system, right?
You like soft magic systems better, in my opinion, than hard magic systems. I know you say that you like hard magic systems, but I think you enjoy the vibe of a magic system better than you like the rules.
No, because again, this is one of those stories that the magic system should bother me. It really should.
I feel like there's a lot of other things going on in the Connor brain watching this movie where magic system kind of just sinks a little bit and it just becomes part of the vibe.
Well, okay. So this is one where I don't care about the magic.
Exactly.
one way or the other.
Yeah.
It should bother me. It just doesn't, and I'm fine with it. I don't like the magic system in this.
No.
I just don't care.
I just don't get. It's not the point in this one,
Right? And I'm
Like-
okay with that. I'm okay with magic not being the point.
Yeah. In this
You're
one,
not.
I'm not. Like, if you're gonna there is a part of this where I'm like, oh, this magic system was introduced to further enhance the theme and the story.
Mhm.
Like, magic exists in this story because we need it to be able to go and tell the larger picture, to go and
Right.
create a metaphor. Like, the magic system in this is just to go and create metaphors.
Yeah.
And like, that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's not a sad system. It's a very meta magic system. If you're looking at it from a like
Mhm.
the purpose being to go and describe the actions of the castle.
I would say
owner.
we actually do have a very small amount of hard magic rules.
Yeah, in the tower.
Yep.
That's it. That's all we got. In both in the building block tower and in the tower itself, where you have
Yeah.
this tower that straddles multiple different time frames.
Mhm.
We have a great understanding of that. We even have a corridor of time that you can go and walk through.
Mhm.
Pretty awesome. Then you have the magic stones that are keeping the whole everything standing. Also a very hard magic system. Very pieces are
Yep.
fantastic of it. But that's where it stops, because that's where the creator now has the ability to make his own magic system from it.
Oh, that's true.
The tower owner, after that point, after he's used the hard magic system, now has full control, because this is the world that he has created.
That's true.
Which I think is like, now
That's
that I'm
actually a
expressing
really
it, is
interesting
beautiful.
metaphor.
Like, that is actually really cool. Now that I've described it, so that's kind of nice. Thank you, Connor. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. I have a little more respect for this one then.
I was thinking specifically of the doors, and like the same door always opens to the same place.
Yep.
And then you've got the birds
Mhm.
that when they go through the door and enter into this other land, they
birds,
are
yeah.
transformed back into what their form would be in our world.
Which also isn't consistent, because you have the Heron who can still talk in both dimensions.
Yeah, but we definitely get the sense that the Heron is not normal.
For sure.
Like he's not one of the parakeet guards.
Nope.
Even a little bit.
He's not one of the pelicans.
He's not one of the pelicans. Yeah. And so I don't know. You can make the argument that the Heron is the same thing as them, but I really think that's a stretch. Like the fact that all of the other birds are presented as just birds that have different motivations and can speak
Mhm.
and that kind of thing. Whereas the Heron has an actual dude
An
living
actual
inside
guy
of it.
inside of this bird.
Yeah. So like I don't get the sense that it's the same, it's following
Kind
the
of
same
idea.
rules even a little bit.
No, I would agree with that. Those rules aren't explained. And
They
I don't-
aren't.
And I don't know why the tower does that. It's cool that it fell from the sky. Why was it in space to begin with?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, those are the questions that
I
keep me up
do-
at night, which I will put to bed.
I do have my theory on that.
Ooh.
And I think in some ways it is the idea of the cultural zeitgeist that has already existed when an artist steps onto the scene.
Mm-hmm.
So that's Miyazaki saying, because that's why he built the tower
Oh.
around something
This
that he thought
obelisk
was
thing.
unique,
Yeah.
right? He found it, he thought it was
Interesting.
unique and interesting.
So he built
a tower around it.
Yeah. If we go and continue extending that the great uncle is Miyazaki in this case.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Like, hey, here's the thing that I built my work around.
So the idea that
And then it
fell,
crumbles at the end.
yeah, but the idea that it fell from space is
Yeah.
the idea of like
Divine Providence.
this, the entire artistic continuum, right? Like, yes, we can trace lines of how it got here, but the fact of the matter is, like, we don't know where this all started. And it has shifted, in ways that even the artists that have made the shifts were not consciously aware of a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, for all intents and purposes, yes, it fell out of the sky.
Yeah. I am glad we're talking about this and that I am getting the perspective of someone that is more artistically inclined, because this is lovely. And it's building my appreciation. It might hit the top 250 here by the end of this episode. We'll see. So that's great.
Probably not, because we're, I assume, about done.
Yeah, I think we're almost done.
So
good. Oh yeah, we didn't even touch the fact that there's time magic in this.
Yeah, that didn't feel helpful to me. I really did feel like the time magic was
kind of just fun to kind of throw in.
Yeah.
Like, why did we need Mahito's mom to be co-protagonist to Mahito?
Yeah, I don't know.
To save his future aunt. Which is also, just very strange.
Well, no, his present aunt.
Sorry, you're right. Absolutely correct.
Yeah,
his past mom
that one.
Save his present aunt.
Yeah. That I didn't feel was even really valuable.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I do feel like it's probably still just more part of the metaphor that we just gotta. We can go analyze a lot of the metaphor.
If that's the case, I did not.
I didn't get
pick it up. Like the Heron at the beginning of the film felt like it was sort of a stand-in for grief, but by the point he goes into the tower, it's like I don't even know what the Heron represents. Like,
I think as soon as we can answer who Mahito is, if he's the viewer, if he's Miyazaki's son, if he's like a different perspective, we'd be able to answer that better.
Maybe I'm wrong about this, but my understanding of it while watching was this is a once we kind of understood his relationship with his great uncle.
Mm-hmm.
This was supposed to be a hypothetical heir to Miyazaki.
Yeah.
In the Studio Ghibli.
Yeah.
Studio. The problem is all of these other characters and their relation to him are equally hypothetical.
Yes.
If that's the case.
Exactly.
So, like, I don't know.
Build a real big hypothetical web.
Yep.
Hypothetical spiders.
So, I don't know. I would love to see Miyazaki just kind of tear this film apart and talk about what he thinks. What he thinks about all of it. Yeah, I mean, because this does feel like a very, very personal project. Yeah.
Yeah.
I am typically for not death of the author, but maiming of the author. Have we talked about that?
Nope.
The concept? Okay. Concept of death of the author is once someone has created a work and has put it out into the world, the author no longer has any more say about it than any other viewer.
Oh, interesting. That's not what Rowling does.
Yeah, or George Lucas.
Or Lucas.
Right? Like those are
or Martin, I think.
Martin? Really?
I don't know. I just have the vibe. I could be wrong. I haven't read any of his work.
Most of the stuff that he does is actually just adding on to it in other books.
Oh, okay, cool.
And so that's all within world, right?
Yeah.
Like that's world building. That's part of the canon. But this is, hey, I'm going back and I'm revising things in the book that weren't there, or I'm revising the movies.
Yeah.
Or even in the analysis of them, right? That's the big one. I think that the author should have slightly more say than the audience.
As they were the creator.
That said, you can't deny that when an audience is reading something all one way,
Yeah.
and the author is saying, no, it's this other thing, that the author has maybe failed to make it about the thing they wanted to make it about, and they've actually made it about the thing that the audience is viewing it as.
That's so crazy.
Which is why I refer to it as maiming the author, because the author isn't dead. I don't think that the author has no say over it. If you're sitting in a lecture hall, like the one guy was arguing with Ray Bradbury about what Fahrenheit 451 is about. Have you heard about that?
No.
It was somebody who was saying it was about censorship, and Ray Bradbury's like, no, I wrote it about television. Censorship is a major theme that I wanted to go through it, but that is not what the book is about.
Yeah.
It's about the loss of literacy due to television. And the kid's sitting there arguing with him. It's like, well, come on, dude. like the author's sitting there there with you, telling you what it's about, and yeah.
So interesting. I love that.
But yeah, I think there are blind spots when you're creating things. There always are.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't remember how I got on to naming the author.
Miyazaki and tearing apart.
Oh yeah, I would still love to sit down and talk with him, because I still think that he knows what this movie is about more than any of us do.
Yeah.
I would assume.
Completely agree.
Which is also part of the reason that I think he's going to be kind of happy about that, and that it's sort of a secret he wants to take to his grave.
Exactly.
And I think that's
cute little secret.
That's cool for him to have, you know.
Very happy.
So, I mean, same thing happens with lots of other series.
Yeah.
You know, I think. Oh, you haven't gotten there. I was about to spoil the very end of Wheel of Time for you.
Thanks for not doing
I'm not gonna do that.
I appreciate it.
But I do think that there were secrets in the last book that
Jordan
put in there. I've watched the interviews with Sanderson, and he's like, I don't know.
I have no idea.
This was Jordan's thing. He had written it, and I put it in the book because that's what he had.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of those kind of series where people, or a lot of those sort of things where people want to be able to hold on to it and say, no, this is just for me. And
Last
only
message of the creator.
Right, yeah. And I think there's something beautiful and kind of personal about that.
Agreed.
Even when you have like a fan base that you love.
Yeah.
So.
Totally agree.
Man, this was a good movie.
It was a good movie.
And that ends our...
Wow, we're going to go back to The Lion King next week. I have seen that one.
Yeah, so have I.
That's going to be so weird. We're going to go back to regular movies.
Yep. You want to know what's real wild?
Huh.
The week after that, we're watching The Departed.
I don't know what that is.
It is a gangster movie.
Oh no, back to the gangster movies. I've had so many months of reprieve. Oh, this is crazy.
That one is one of my top 5.
Good.
So, yeah.
Okay, well that's nice at least.
Yeah.
Not comforting, but it's nice.
Yep. So we're going from arguably the most innocent movie on this list to one that I wouldn't argue that it's one of the least, but it's certainly not innocent.
Yes.
So, yeah, I'm excited.
Awesome. Well, then until then, how do we end this?